There we go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the public meeting of the Standing Committee of Economic Development and Environment. My name is Robert Hawkins. I'm the MLA for Yellowknife Centre, and I'm the chair of the Economic Development and Environment Committee. Before us in attendance today, we have several members, and I'll just, for time, I'll move along and mention each one by name, including running. On my left, I have Mr. George Narasu, MLA for Mackenzie Delta. I have Danny McNeely, MLA for the Satu. I have MLA Shauna Morgan for Yellowknife North, Julian Morris, MLA for Frame Lake, and Ms. Kate Reed for MLA for Great Slave. Joining me at the head of the table, I have two staff members. I have our committee clerk, Ms. Kate Weaver Charpentier, or did I get it backwards? Okay, perfect. And on my other side for research, we have Ms. Chelsea Makovich. I'll get it. My apologies. Anyway, that said, today we're here to do a public presentation on the NWT film and media and arts sector. And I will now pass over the microphone in a second to the minister. So I'd like to thank the minister, Minister Kate Cleveland, and the department officials for providing a presentation here for committee. And this is being live streamed on the Legislative Assembly's channel. And our witnesses, for sake of comfort and following the microphones, if you would allow both, including MLAs, direct all questions through me as the chair, and I'll direct it accordingly. Folks, I'll now proceed to the minister and allow her to introduce her staff, and then I'll take her direction at the time as to who and when we'll start the presentation. Thank you. Please, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to committee for hosting us here today. Colleagues, I very much appreciate your interest in the NWT's film and media sector, and also for your invitation to appear before committee. Joining me here today is Kamala McEachran, NWT's very own film commissioner, and also serves as promotions manager of economic diversification. Also joining us today is Melissa Sear, the Assistant Deputy Minister of Industry, Tourism and Investment. And to her right is Joel Holder, Director of Economic Diversification, also with Industry, Tourism and Investment. As we're all aware, the territorial economy is headed towards a transition as the diamond mines close. We often hear that we have a need to diversify. But I truly believe that we have a diverse economy and need to continue building systems to support the opportunities with the greatest social and economic return on investments for Northerners. The film and media sector will be one component of building a strong economic foundation that creates opportunities in every region of our territory. Film and media is a unique part of the economy. NWT businesses, communities, and artists collaborate to educate, inspire, and create a sense of place and culture, and to share our stories amongst ourselves and with the world. The sector has grown before our eyes and on screen with guest productions like Cold Road, Alone, and Alaska Daily, and homegrown productions like Food for the Rest of Us, She Gives Birth, Stuff I Found Diving, and Elijah and the Rock Creature. It's also worth noting that the director of Elijah and the Rock Creature is sitting behind me, Ms. Jen Walden. This flourishing in film has been powered by local producers and organizations like Dead North, the NWT Professional Media Association, and Western Arctic Moving Pictures. I'm most excited about the potential for the film sector to bring opportunities to all regions of the NWT. The growing Yellowknife International Film Festival has an on-the-road component that brings films to each region. Fort Simpson recently hosted its 5th annual Lidley Film Festival, showcasing films and stories from the day show. The Producers Incentive Program has supported projects all the way up to the Beaufort Delta. The sky's the limit for NWT film, but our top challenge now is to compete with our provincial and territorial neighbors to attract projects. Our government's strategic response to this challenge is called Rolling Action, NWT Film and Media Sector Strategy and Action Plan. The strategy is in its 4th year and has delivered several new programs to support local producers and attract productions to the north. Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask the NWT's amazing film commissioner, Kamala McEachran, to deliver or to take us through today's presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Minister. If members do not have questions with respect to the Minister's opening remarks, I'll now proceed to Ms. McCracken. Am I saying it right? Okay. McCracken. Yes. Thank you. Please, if you would.
Oh, I'm on mute?
No, you're good to go.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
No, just a second. For our witnesses, you have to wait for the mic to go red, so that's why I identify who it'll be. So our fantastic staff who operate the machinery means you don't have to do a single thing. All right. So please, Ms. McCracken, when you're ready, you'll see the red light on your microphone.
All right. Thank you very much, Skiddy members, for your interest in this exciting industry. I'm extremely passionate, of course, about it. And so really looking forward to doing an overview of what the department is doing to support the growth of the sector. And with the chair's permission, I would like to start delivering the presentation. And at the end, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So given the nature of this presentation, I felt that it was very appropriate to kick things off with a film reel.
Thank you for being here with us. We want to show you the beauty of this country, the power.
For those following along in the public, we just restarted the video.
Thank you for being here with us. We want to show you the beauty of this country, the power. Must see.
Like out here, I don't feel away from home at all. I feel like I'm in my own backyard.
All right, so that reel is a little sampling of some of the past productions that the Northwest Territories had played host to. It's a combination of guest productions and our locally written, directed, and produced productions. And this is something that the Northwest Territories Film Commission uses to promote the industry at various events, film festivals, and on social media platforms. The Film Commission has been given special permission to utilize a co-branded logo outside of the GNWT's visual identity program for marketing purposes. So it does allow us to have somewhat of a unique identity that reflects our industry. Now, if you noticed, the logo contains graphic elements that portray the aurora within the film reel. The aurora has 5 film frames to represent each of the five regions who participate in the industry. And the colors were inspired by the seasons and the geography of our beautiful territory. Next slide. Oh, here we are. So before we dive into the Northwest Territories sector, I'd like to provide some national context so we can take a look at the Canadian media sector, which has become an extremely important and growing contributor to the Canadian economy. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to be referring to numbers from the 22 fiscal year, which is the most comprehensive year for reporting and sources in the comparisons that I'm going to make. But we are working ongoing to do economic analysis and follow industry trends. So definitely there will be updated numbers to follow. But in this particular year, the Canadian Media Producers Association reported that media resulted in an all-time high production volume of $11.69 billion, the creation of 241,000 jobs, and a contribution of $13.7 billion to the country's GDP, and brought in $7.5 billion of foreign investment. So this industry is definitely a huge contributor, and is proving to really make a stake in the Canadian economy. So the way that, next slide please, that the film and television is segmented in Canada, it consists of 4 segments. So there's the Canadian television production. These are television programs that are created largely by independent Canadian production companies. There's a theatrical feature film production. These are feature films that are made by independent production companies and certified with Canadian content. There's the foreign location and service production segment, which includes feature films and television programs filmed in Canada, but by guest productions, foreign investors. And there's the broadcaster in-house segment, that is television programs and productions that are made in-house by Canadian broadcasters in their own facilities. So that's news, sports, Northern Affairs. And the Canadian production, the industry is often financed with a mix of government funding, tax incentives, broadcaster investment, and distributors. The film and media sector provides an important platform for storytelling and artistic expression. It's a very unique part of our economy where NWT communities, businesses, and industry stakeholders can connect and participate with each other, benefiting in various ways. The NWT media sector has evolved over the last 2 decades to become both an economic and cultural contributor to the Northwest Territories, and a viable export, non-extractive sector of the economy. Statistics Canada reports that the multiplier effect for motion picture and video industries in the Northwest Territories is 1.54. So this means that for every dollar spent on production activities, it's equivalent to $1.55. In 22 alone, the broadcasting statistics identified that approximately $16 million were brought into the overall GDP of the Northwest Territories. And of this, an estimated $3 million of direct spend came from the commercial productions that filmed in the territory. So at the course of today's presentation, I'll be highlighting existing economic analysis, analyzing the investment in the industry and how these dollars are providing a tremendous return on what is being invested through programming throughout the territory. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. Just fine. Thank you. So the way that the Northwest Territories sector is segmented is in 6 ways. We've got our NWT-based productions, local productions, so that's film, television programs, digital media content that is created by NWT-based businesses. We have guest productions, and this is those who are coming into the territory and choosing the NWT as their filming location. This segment generally includes visiting film and television shows, which I will speak about further on to the presentation. There's the co-production segment. So this is where NWT producers and businesses share the copyright with non-NWT producers. And co-productions are often arranged between jurisdictions to leverage funding like tax credits and jobs. So co-productions are definitely bring in a lot of opportunity for professional development. And then we've got the broadcaster in-house productions, which are NWT-based organizations such as CBC and the Inuvialuit Communication Society. We've got our service providers, who are individuals and companies that are not directly involved with the creative contribution of the industry, but they provide specialty services such as catering, hotels, gear rentals to help support the industry. And then we have the film and video productions that are the private sector and commercial contracts that produce content for the purposes of advertising, public awareness campaigns, and promotion. So to give a further industry snapshot, our industry is comprised of over 40 freelancers, sole proprietors, and small corporations that self-identify as working in the Northwest Territories film and video production. Our professional filmmakers who are living and working in the territory are often multi-skilled and able to fill a variety of production roles, both as entrepreneurs who initiate the projects and as service providers and contractors who create the projects. The NWT has a variety of businesses orientated towards other industries such as tourism, construction, and expediting. And these are well positioned to fulfill the needs of the media sector, such as equipment, services, and expertise. So there is a misconception that, because one doesn't have a technical background in film or media, that they can't participate in the sector. But there's so many other ways. The skills required to get a production done are very translatable to the trades. So productions, they require on-set carpentry. They require drivers and electricians. So it's a very multi-faceted workforce. As I was saying, that it is a sector that has the ability to support a balanced and mixed economy, which can employ Northerners in every region where full-time employment opportunities are limited. So as an example, the series Alone, which is an adventure series that aired on History Channel, they are no stranger to the Northwest Territories. They have to date filmed 3 seasons. 2 of which that were filmed in and around Litsoke, and one that was filmed in Fort Providence. And these productions all resulted in the hiring of many locals to fill the positions in areas such as cultural consultants, transportation guides, to wildlife monitors. All of these seasons combined spend was approximately $3 million in direct spending into the territory. And if you add the multiplier effect to that, it equates to approximately $4 million. There are 2 pan-territorial stakeholder organizations that have been critical in supporting and growing the industry. The Professional Media Association, who is an organized body of professional film and media arts members trying to pursue a career, pursuing a career, in the industry, are a major stakeholder into the industry, and we don't do anything without them, including Western Arctic Moving Pictures, who is our other partner and a nonprofit arts organization that supports film, video, and digital media production and exhibition throughout the Northwest Territories. And again, both industry organizations have just been key in growing, and it does take a community, and everybody plays a very important role, both in government and industry. So they've been incredibly strong partners, which we will continue to look forward to working with. And the way that the government of the Northwest Territories provides resources to and support to the industry is, of course, through the Northwest Territories Film Commission. So I am going to speak a bit about that. Great. So the Northwest Territories Film Commission is guided by the NWT Film and Media Sector Strategy and Action Plan, Rolling Action. The next 5 years, the strategy was launched in 2021 with a plan to grow and develop the film and media in the Northwest Territories into a nationally competitive and sustainable economy. And as the minister was saying, is that we are in our 4th year, which is unbelievable. Time really does fly. The strategy contains 15 action items in 3 focus areas, which is managing and improving programming, developing skills and collaborations with industry partners and stakeholders, and showcasing and promoting the sector. The strategy has resulted in several important deliverables and includes the development of the Northwest Territories' first ever development program, the Northwest Territories Producers Incentive Pilot Program. The Film Commission has an official mandate to maximize economic opportunities for the Northwest Territories residents and businesses participating in the sector, and to promote the territory as an ultimate production location. So the commission consists of one PY position, which is myself, and a film officer, which is currently a shared position. We are responsible for supporting the growth of the sector by using sound business principles in the areas of funding, marketing, promotion, and sector development, serving as a liaison between industry, local, and national organizations at various levels of government to foster relationships and positive relationships and partnerships, acting as a pathfinder to assist clients with information and permitting and locations on funding and opportunities available to them. We represent the interests of the industry on local, national, and international scales through attendance to industry events and sitting on committees and with memberships on organizations like the Association of Provincial and Territorial Film Funding Agencies and the Association of Film Commissioners International. I just want to make a note that when I first joined the Association of Provincial and Territorial Funding Agencies, it was actually only called the Association of Provincial Funding Agencies. So that was one of the first orders of business, was to incorporate the territories into that name. Just saying. We're also engaging with stakeholders across the territory to promote film and media as an economic opportunity for their members and communities to participate. And we maintain ongoing information-rich website and marketing materials that promote and provide information on everything that one must know about filming in the territory, such as permits, permissions. It also contains a Northwest Territories Film Suppliers Guide, which is a directory of NWT businesses and individuals that provide services to the industry. Right. So Industry, Tourism and Development delivers funding to support all stages of commercial and film and media production in the Northwest Territories. So the focus of funding is to support the commercialization of productions and projects. Film is not always created for financial purposes, but in the interest of the programs that are delivered through the Film Commission, there has to be a commercial intent and component. So there are 5 stages in which the funding supports the commercial film and media production industry. at the development stage. So this is the stage where a producer develops an idea into a tangible business case that can be pitched to funders and investors for further support. The pre-production phase, which is the stage where the producer sets all arrangements up to make the film. The production stage, where the cameras actually begin to roll and the script comes to life. The post-production stage, where the footage and the sounds and the graphics are all edited together to become the finished product. And at the distribution stage, which is the finished product that is released and broadcast to the world. So it's integral to have support, that you can back your producers at every stage of the game. The NWT Film and Media Sector Schedule funding, which is delivered under the Support for Entrepreneurs and Economic Development, has a budget of $160,000 to support producers and organizations, and covers all of those stages. The funding also supports organizations like the NWT Professional Media Association and Western Arctic Moving Pictures to deliver festivals like the Yellowknife International Film Festival, and also to support events like the Lilique Film Festival. The Producers Incentive Pilot Program, which I spoke to as a direct result of an action item from the NWT Film Strategy, supports producers and co-producers at the pre and development stage. The budget of the program is $100,000, and since we began delivery in 2021, the program has been subscribed fully every year, and so far it's resulted in 20 projects. So this is extremely exciting. It means that we've got 20 projects that are brewing, and will hopefully, we'll see them roll out in the next couple of years. I'm aware that there's 2 of these projects that are very likely to go into production in the next couple of years. So this is really an important stage where we can help plant the seed and support our producers at the very first stage of production. And the third program that the department supports and delivers is the Northwest Territories Film Rebate Program. And this is the competitive program that the territory uses to attract investment into the territory by providing productions, pre-approved productions who plan to film on the territory, with a 25 to 40% rebate on what they spend on expenditures and labor in the territory when making their production. The 25 to 40%, it includes a regional incentive. So 25% is a base rate. If a production is filming in Yellowknife, then we will look at reimbursing 25%. But in order to incentivize getting productions out and beyond the hub of Yellowknife and into the regions, we will look at funding up to 40% to offset those costs. And the program budget has been $100,000. We did see a one-time increase of $300,000 in the last fiscal 2023-2024 year. But as you will see in coming up further into the presentation, that this program has definitely shown the potential of bringing in investment into the territory. So attracting investment is crucial in keeping an industry and ecosystem flowing. And I can tell you firsthand that the interest is it's growing. It is there. People are so curious about the territory. There's an appetite to, wanting to discover new locations, and there's a lot of interest from these guest productions, but also locally to create their stories on the ground in the territory. And again, you never know like what productions are going to present themselves, and having programs in place to be able to support productions on the ground are critical. The types of productions that are filming in the territory have really diversified. So historically, the lion's share of activity has been from documentary to reality-style series, which are great. Whereas the territory is now playing host to more and more feature-length films. The Sun at Midnight, Elijah and the Rock Creature, and Red Snow are a few examples of these. We have scripted television series like Arctic Air and Alaska Daily that have taken a chance on our territory. And the industry as a whole is very competitive, and jurisdictions around the world are competing fiercely to attract productions to their regions. Productions bring a lot of money in. When they have a job to get done, they definitely spare no expense. And so jurisdictions are offering incentives like cash rebates or tax credits to try to lure that activity in. So all provinces and territories in Canada do offer incentives. The NWT Film Rebate, which was launched in 2015, has supported 20 productions. So included in these productions have been comprised of feature films, documentaries, television series, and commercials that have been filmed across the territory. So we have Yellowknife, Inuvik, Detta, That's Okay, Tuk Tuk Tuk, Fort Providence, Hay River, and beyond. The program itself has distributed $1 million in rebates, and that $1 million has leveraged a total of $11 million in direct spending into the territory. So further calculations have indicated that every dollar of support that was spent under the film rebate program led to $8.90 of spending into the territory. So these numbers are impressive, and they speak for themselves, and they demonstrate that the NWT's film and media sector has the potential to generate huge benefits and much higher benefits with more funding that is available. It very much so is a you get what you give scenario. And currently our budget is the lowest in Canada. And while we have had many success stories, the budget realities, they do create barriers to sector's growth. Drawing in and supporting bigger budget projects means more employment and professional development opportunities for the Northwest Territories producers and residents, more revenue from secondary industries like accommodations and transportation, and it leads to a positive change in the Northwest Territories' reputation as a film and television destination. So how we compare to our neighbors, for instance, here's a snapshot of our funding and resources and how they compare to the Yukon and the Nunavut, pardon me. So all of the three territories are very similar in character, in size. We certainly have our own uniqueness, but we do all face similar challenges, but have a lot of opportunities. And as you can see from this chart is that essentially the Yukon and Nunavut each spend more than 3 times on their film and media arts program arts programs than the Northwest Territories. I'm going to speak to partnerships, which is an integral part of this industry, as the sector as a whole is built upon relationships and partnerships. The Film Commission and the growing community of the Northwest Territories dedicated industry organizations like the Professional Media Association and Western Arctic Moving Pictures and sector professionals have really left their mark on film festivals and events around the world, promoting and advocating for the Northwest Territories and its rapidly growing industry locally and globally. We recently attended the Canadian Media Producers Prime Time Market, which is an annual conference that's hosted in Ottawa and draws in, all of the film commissioners and the funders, the politicians from across the country, and it's an excellent opportunity to have face time with all of the facets of the industry. And we were able to provide support to the Northwest Territories Professional Media Association to bring a Northwest Territories cohort to this event. And it was incredible to see the industry just, make such a mark on the territory. It made me feel so proud, just seeing our producer representatives enthusiastically and passionately speaking about the territory and, meeting after meeting and being such incredible ambassadors for the territory, which is such an important part of the industry. And so the territory, the Film Commission and the organizations are, we're constantly seeking partnerships with other colleagues, organizations, and jurisdictions to be able to partner and leverage opportunities into the territory, both funding opportunities, professional development opportunities. To date, partnerships have been established with national organizations like the Canada Media Fund, Telefilm Canada, Bell Media and the Harold Greenberg Fund, other organizations like the National Screen Institute, CBC, and the National Film Board. So we are constantly looking for synergies where we can, maximize through partnership ways that we can certainly benefit our local producers. Another very important partner has been Northwest Territories Tourism. We work ongoing with them to look for ways that we can find synergies to share on the efforts and the resources to promote the territory as a location, and also as an opportunity for tourism operators across the territory to participate and to provide services to the industry. And we actually, there's several tourism businesses that are actively participating in the production side of the industry. It really is, again, a great pivot to open services not just to the traditional folks that are visiting the territory as a location, but also as a production destination. And other relationships to mention are the national stakeholder organizations like the Canadian Media Producers Association, the Association of Provincial and Territorial Film Funding Agencies, the Canadian Film Commissions Committee, and the Association of Film Commissioners International. I'm going to speak to sector impacts. And so not only is film and media an important economic contributor, but it's a significant cultural component of our society and has never been more accessible. It's an important tool to help preserve culture and languages and lends to the political might of the Northwest Territories in the face of international issues such as climate change, Indigenous rights, and Canadian sovereignty. It builds pride, community, strengthens identity, and draws attention to the diversity of the people, stories, and landscapes in the Northwest Territories. Film and media encourages creativity and collaboration among a diverse set of sector stakeholders. There is a direct correlation between the health and wellness of communities who have strong cultural representation on the screen. And the spotlight on diversity and inclusion in the industry, which has been underrepresented, has never been brighter. Studies have identified that people feel validated and a sense of worth by seeing themselves reflected on the screen. And the federal government has committed to providing significant funding allocations to support underrepresented creators with the formation of organizations like the Indigenous Screen Office. This opens up more opportunities for the Northwest Territories' incredible Indigenous and culturally diverse population. And finally, the impact of the tourism sector as a direct result of people wanting to visit the location of a film or television series that they have watched is proven. Popular shows like Ice Road Truckers, Arctic Air, Ice Pilots, and Alone have truly put Northwest Territories on the map. The Alone television series averages a total weekly viewership when broadcast of 2.5 million and is syndicated in other countries. So that's a lot of eyes on the Northwest Territories. And that number is certainly higher now with the other platforms that are available, such as streaming services. So there are some exciting initiatives that the Film Commission is currently working on, of course, in addition to regular program delivery through the film strategy. We were successful in entering into a 2-year project with Canor and the federal government, who are co-funding a NWT Film Sector Growth Initiatives project. So this is a project which will take place over 2 years. We're currently in our 2nd year. And it includes 2 main components, one being a Northwest Territories film locations assessment. And so this assessment will bring together, or has brought together, a team of professional location scouts to essentially survey region to region, community to community, the Northwest Territories for locations that are seen to be desirable to various types of media, identifying who our suppliers are, resources, organizations, and contacts in those regions that provide assets and services to the industry. This project is going to be very integral to relationship building and strengthening our partners across the territory. So we can work really closely to identify within the regions what the benefits film production and production in general can bring to the communities, and really assist them in building good practices, establishing film permits to empower them to participate in any way they would like to do so. All of this information is going to be compiled into a regional database and production guide that is going to be used as an incredible tool for local industry, who are the beneficiaries of this, as well as the Film Commission, to increase the visibility to attract investment into the territory. So this is going to be a very comprehensive database, which will be ongoing. So as productions, film in the territory, it will be included in the database and identify everything from weather, lighting, charts, to actual location photography. Another important part of this project is the mentorship program component. So this is going to support NWT residents and crew persons to receive on-set training and mentorship when productions are filming in the territory. We've been working very closely with the Professional Media Association to identify opportunities, and will include a broad range of activities like workshops and mentorship, matchmaking, in addition to on-set training. Also will be updates to the Film Commission's website, which is undergoing an overhaul and a revamping to its content management platform, keeping with the times, improving navigatability and user experience. And one of the biggest updates is going to be the NWT Film Suppliers Guide, which I had mentioned is our way of promoting the individuals, businesses, and services who provide services to productions in the territory. The total project amount is $1.2 million. So again, we are going into our second year, and we've already, laid a lot of groundwork with the locations project. So certainly look for updates further into this fiscal year. Okay, and so moving forward, the film and media sector has a significant potential as a driver of the economy through all regions and communities of the territory, and which it really truly does represent the real action in fulfilling the mandate of the 20th Legislative Assembly, and the priority of a strong economic foundation in particular. Thanks to our talents, the talents of our NWT creators, and the hard work and diligence of the behind-the-scene characters, the NWT film industry is quickly becoming a world-class destination for filming and attracting TV shows, critically acclaimed movies and documentaries, and bringing a real spotlight to homegrown talent. As the minister said, the sky is the limit for film, and we need to continue with this momentum to ensure that our territory is well represented on the screen and minimize the barriers for those who want to participate in this sector and stay in the territory and be employed. And we need to do this by continuing to offer support to back our NWT producers and keep up with these industry trends. And now I will look to...
Yeah, we're having AV issues. I figured you were leading into the next picture, or sorry, the next video. My apologies. So we're having AV challenges. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to forgo that. But perhaps maybe, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was waiting for the chance to get in. Perhaps you can describe where the video is linked, and that way we can continue on for the presentation if the public chooses to follow through on it. So, Madam Commissioner, please.
Okay. The video is linked. Yeah, just where they, you know what, I will share the video. I will share the video with Sketty and the link to it, and so Sketty can share it on social media channels, and I can also make the commitment to share that on my own social media channels as well, because I also think the first video that was shared there would be nice to share as well and be able to see it in all its glory. So I will commit to doing that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Ultimately, that's what we were going to do, and it sounds like we're all going to figure it out on our, collectively, so that's good. Minute Commissioner, did you have any more you wanted to highlight as we finish the last piece of the presentation before we go to questions?
That is everything.
All right, folks, I have Ms. Reid who'd like to ask a question, and then Ms. Morgan. So I'll start with Ms. Reid, and again, for the sake of the public and so they can hear the recording process and everything, please wait till you're recognized, and if it helps, move your microphone over just a touch and you can see the red light in front of you. That said, Ms. Reid, if you would please kick us off into a discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much for your presentation. It was very thorough and informative. So, while you've noted past success with reality programming being filmed in the territory such as Ice Road Truckers and Alone, I would love to see the NWT be the next location for a big budget HBO show. Like The Last of Us was for Alberta, or True Detective was for Alaska, and in co-production with our local industry. And our local filmmaking stars, some of whom are in this room. This could, as you know, bring Northern and Indigenous storytelling to the world in a really impactful way. So I'm wondering if you could speak a little more to how we are courting the big players in the industry, in addition to incentives such as rebates, and if you feel, and maybe this is a question for the Minister, if we can accomplish that within the life of the GNWT's film strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reid. I'll start with the Minister and then she can direct as necessary. Please, if you would.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the member for the question. I think it's fair to start off by saying that even by looking at the numbers of what we're putting into our film strategy in our budget line items every year compared to our sister territories and what we're getting out of it and what we're able to attract to that, is that this is something, and as the film commissioner said, that you really get out of what you put into it. And so we've really reached the ceiling with our funding as far as what we're able to pull out at this point as far as rebates and continuing to attract bigger players. And so this is one where if we really want to be able to create more opportunity and attract bigger investment, that we would also need to create more investment within our own program. But with that, through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to also pass to the film commissioner.
Thank you, Minister. And to the Commissioner, she would answer the member's question. Thank you.
I completely agree. And you had asked how we are connecting with the potential investors. This is done through regular attendance to film events, to markets. We are, working with limited resources, so the Film Commission does attend various events, but not consistently. So it is important, of course, to be able to, have representation and have consistency and conversations. But there definitely is, there's markets and platforms for these conversations. We belong to the Association of Film Commissioners International, which is a global organization that supports film commissioners and promotions across the globe. And they do create opportunities to connect with important studios and broadcasters and the Rolodex of the industry. So there's certainly these stakeholders are very approachable. Going back to the film rebate, though, and the investment side, is that you need to bring something to the table, and there's definitely so much interest in our territory, those that know about us, and there's so many that don't even know about us yet. But it's very crucial that we do have something that we can again bring to the table as part of an investment.
Thank you for that. Ms. Reid, a follow-up to your first question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's more of a comment to the Minister that I hope that she brings an expansion to Mains, even if we are in fiscal restraint. This is somewhere where I feel investment is extremely important, and I would like to see more funding for the Film Commission to do their crucial work to bring in diversification to our economy. And so I will be pestering the minister on means. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing it as a comment, Minister, did you have any reply to that particular item?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I mean, even through the example of the film rebate program alone, where for every dollar of support that we put in, we're seeing $8.90 being leveraged out of that investment. It shows right there that it's proven to be a really good way to increase our investment in the territory. And it's not a Yellowknife story, it truly is an NWT story.
Thank you for that. I have Ms. Morgan next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thanks for taking the time to come and present and help us focus on this important industry for the morning here. So given that well, actually, it's sort of in contrast to Ms. Reid's question, which focused on how we can attract more external productions, bigger productions from the outside. It does seem so far that most of our funding is directed to outside productions, just based on numbers. So the Film Sector Growth Initiative, my understanding is that it's focused on supporting the guest productions that are coming from outside the territory. The Film Rebate Program, and correct me if I'm wrong, is focused on funding producers coming from the outside. Is the assumption that the main driver of growth in this industry in the NWT will come from outside productions? Or is there an assumption that growth could also come from northern-based film producers and creators? I mean, given that it seems that the amount of funding for northern-based creators is quite low. And I understand that it's also quite low for outside productions in comparison to other jurisdictions, but is that how you've oriented the funding, with an assumption or intention that the growth will mainly come from outside productions coming here?
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Minister, please, if you would.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, there's not an intent to only support external productions versus internal. In addition to, the two programs that the member did reference, we also have seed funding that contributes to kind of the beginning stages of getting something off the ground and more that grassroots pieces and the starting phases. In addition to that, with my other hat on and my ECE hat on, there is also opportunities for funding within ECE as well in order to see arts-based projects flourish, and that's divided by small, medium, and large production as well. And I think too, what I don't want to lose in this conversation either is there is a need for Made in the North, and there also is a need for that our guest productions to come up to the North and participate in this sector, because there's such a huge opportunity to be able to share knowledge and experience and learn from one another. And even having had the opportunity to as way back in the day as a photographer, being able to, as a lone wolf photographer, be on the set of Miss Walden's movie and get to see the teamwork that happens in that setting, and the sharing of ideas and the sharing of experience and knowledge of how to do things different and how to look at things different. It was really eye-opening, and that can be done at every kind of stage and growth of a production like that. And so I wouldn't want to pinhole ourselves into only doing or only funding projects that are local, because we would cut ourselves out of such a huge mentorship opportunity that exists out there as well. But Mr. Chair, through yourself, I would love to pass to my colleague as well.
I assume the Commissioner, please, if you would.
Yeah, you need both. You can't have one without the other, and it's very important to support both. The film rebate is a program that is open to not just guest production but local productions. But we also, part of financing a production is, there's multiple investors involved, and it's a matter of, really empowering our local producers to be able to get out into the market and to connect with the national funders and create opportunities, professional development opportunities, to bring them to that level where they can start producing bigger budget productions that are going to qualify to access the film rebate program.
Thank you for that. Ms. Morgan, do you have a further one, please?
Thank you for that. And I do definitely agree that it sounds like we need both. I just want to make sure that we also have adequate supports in place for our northern-based producers. And you mentioned that there's seed funding available. Maybe you can speak to some of the limitations of the seed funding. My understanding, but again, correct me if I'm wrong, that the restrictions on the seed funding is that producers wouldn't necessarily be able to pay for their own time, their own salaries, or the work that they're doing, which seems central and critical to getting these things off the ground. So what are the opportunities for northern creators and producers to actually find those supports to pay for their time, to sustain themselves and get these projects going? And is that possible through seed? And if not, where else should they be turning to, or where are the opportunities to fund them?
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Minister, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So seed funding across the board doesn't pay for salaries. It's just not designed to do that as a program. It's designed to be able to empower businesses to dream and kind of access that next evolution and innovation within their business, and in this case within their dream of their arts project. But it has never been intended to cover salaries. As far as what might be able to support salaries, or how these projects can be used in terms of how they feed the sector and how they're typically used in past projects, I would like to provide Ms. McEachran the opportunity to potentially speak to how some of them are used within the industry.
Thank you, Minister and Commissioner.
Like I'd noted that when financing a film project, there's multiple funders that are required. So seed is it is in place to support, all productions, but with more of the lower budgets. So it very much, so once you get into the film rebate, you're getting into a higher budget category. But certainly, seed, it's a great acronym because it really is planting a seed. So it does provide, it will support, 70 to 80% of a production costs, but arm's length purchases. But the idea is that the producer, does have access to funding across the country, funders like the Canada Media Fund, Telefilm, that can fill those gaps, and funders do, they will pay portions of salaries. So the seed policy, while it does not, it does require a contribution and will not pay salaries. There are it will cover costs that other funders, will then be able to cover the shortfall. There is the Producers Incentive Pilot Program, however, is a program that does support the operations and maintenance and the overhead costs, and will support the time of the producer as well. So there is definitely, it's unique to the seed program. And with the film rebate, that will it will cover the cost of, or rebate a portion of a salary. So the seed is Okay.
Thank you. We're running out of time, and I didn't want to sound too rough, but I can tell you the questions are perfectly succinct, but that said, the answers really are long, and we're losing time. And I believe it's the minister's schedule wants to leave in about 15 minutes. I don't want to impinge on members, so I just noticed the answers are very full. I'll describe them that way. So I have Mr. Morris and Mr. Narasu, and then we will be basically right near the end of our presentation time, as I understand the minister's schedule. So I won't impinge on a member's question, but I would just hope that the table witnesses' answers are a little more tighter. Thank you. Mr. Morris, please, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I wanted to look at the comparison page, and similar to my colleague noted the significant disparity between the territory and our neighbors. And just to get to the point, wanted to know from the minister, you mentioned that you acknowledged that we're quite behind. So I guess my question to the department is, do you have a plan in place to bring us in line with the level of funding that our neighboring jurisdiction, might I even say competitors, is putting in the table?
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Minister, if you would, please.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, the easiest way to answer that is we're in both a balancing process of walking down the road of fiscal sustainability, and also in setting our budgets for the upcoming year, which we'll be going over in May and June. So that'll be the opportunity to review those together as members in the House and to kind of see where the numbers land. But it will depend on where, at the end of the day, all members intend to see numbers line up and where they want to see investment.
Thank you for that. Emily Morris.
Thank you. I think I can read between the lines as to what that statement means. I guess I would just say what I would be interested in seeing in the comparison page. I note that it says program funding, O&M, full-time staffs. I'm wondering if we have numbers, or if the minister or the department could provide numbers on the kind of impact that these relative jurisdictions, including our own, is seeing as a result of that investment. So you mentioned kind of an 8-to-1 return on the show alone for territorial investment versus the money that was brought in. I'd be very curious to kind of see the results that other jurisdictions are getting, and our own jurisdiction, in terms of dollars in and dollars out. So if the minister could provide that, I'd be interested to see it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Minister, would you be willing to commit to that question and provide those answers to committee in writing, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, absolutely. And also for the public's perspective, I can quickly tell you that for the Yukon's $1.16 million program funding, they are getting $6.5 million in GDP. For Nunavut's $1.185 million in our program funding, they're seeing $8 million in GDP. And in the Northwest Territories, for our standing line item of $360,000 program funding, we are seeing a GDP of $16 million.
So we're certainly getting value, but we'll take that in writing when you have a moment. Mr. Narasu, you're next. If you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Each of our regions have our own unique qualities, and like I use my region, like we have the Midway Lake Music Festival annually, and we have jamborees, and we have 2 wellness centers that are opening. And I also have one of my friends from Fort McPherson, just an amateur. This is just a hobby for him, but he did a documentary on a sort of a slide presentation, but he used stories from 2 remaining paddlers who are there, and he did a slide presentation, and it was pretty successful within our region anyway. I don't know if anybody saw it, but he brought this to the NWT Sports Hall of Fame, and these paddlers were inducted into it. And he was given assistance, mentorship, funding, or anything, he would maybe put it into sort of a film. Because Matt Trapper, when growing up, I only read about him. Then there was a movie made about him and documentary using local people. And, you know, where can these people reach out to get assistance in developing their ideas, whether it's financially or mentorship? Because, you know, a lot of these people have good ideas, but it's just ideas right now. They don't know where to go. So I was just wondering if there's, you know, available financially or whether it's mentorship or otherwise, because there is a lot of ideas out there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very
Yeah, no. No problem. Yes, the mics and etc. Thank you. Thank you, MLA Narasu. Minister, if you would please on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, there are great organizations out there like Western Arctic Moving Pictures that provide not only some gear, but also have, or access to gear, I should say, but also have a contingent of people who are very well versed in, and it's really is a tight-knit community of artists in the Northwest Territories that can support one another. As far as support for funding, there is a very small team within ITI, but I'd like to pass to the Film Commissioner to be able to tell people exactly where to go.
In the most polite way, of course, Madam Commissioner.
So I will try and keep it tight. And I know that throughout this presentation, I've spoke a lot about creating awareness and investment into the territory. But another a very important part is creating awareness locally about the programs and services that are available for our local producers or aspiring producers. And so funding is offered through the regional ITI office. But there's also the Film Commission is that we are here and to help navigate and to be pathfinders, to guide our prospective filmmakers to funding sources available to them locally, but also nationally. Organizations in the Delta, like the Inuvialuit Communication Society, are incredibly knowledgeable and have recently actually done a partnership with Western Arctic Moving Pictures on on-set training. And so there's definitely organizations that are there to assist. But most certainly, the NWT Film Commission is happy to help navigate.
Thank you, Ms. Commissioner. Oh, no, we're good. Okay, so that said, we brought down, we're getting close to our time. And so I look like I have one more question from, two more questions. So I'll ask both members as I identify them, including the minister and staff, to make sure that they're efficiently asked and answered questions. So I'll go to MLA Morgan first. No, we'll let the operator operate the mics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in terms of our funding, I understand we have a relatively small amount available and we've spread it out amongst a number of different projects, 20 projects. And my understanding is that we have a $25,000 cap on each project on like how much we'll subsidize, which I think ends up targeting relatively small productions. And so some other jurisdictions, I think, do subsidies based on a percentage of the cost instead to be able to support perhaps some of the larger productions that are interested in getting subsidies. Is there any willingness or interest in looking into changing our system so that we might be able to support some larger productions, or is the intent to continue focusing on more but much smaller local productions?
Thank you, MLA. Morgan, who? Minister, please.
Thank you so much. I think the easiest way for me to answer that question is to simply say that absolutely, yes, I want to talk to the team about how we can continue to leverage more dollars and get more dollars into projects that are happening in the Northwest Territories. The economic and social return on investment of film is very evident from the projects that we've talked about today and others that we haven't yet talked about. And so continuing to figure out how to stretch our dollars as best as possible and make sure that we're encouraging the film sector in the Northwest Territory to thrive is absolutely top of mind. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. I'll go to Ms. Reid. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll try and keep this brief. I apologize if this didn't come across maybe clearly in my first set of questions, but listening around the table from my fellow members, I am interested in that, striking that balance between local and guest productions, specifically, and how I would like for the department to really promote and push that forward is the idea of co-production that you brought up in your presentation, and making sure we're making those linkages, not only mentoring new and burgeoning filmmakers and creators into the NWT filmmaking scene, but supporting existing creators to leverage their skill sets even further, and making that a very strong emphasis in the film strategy. And I was wondering if you could speak a little to that, Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, MLA Reid. Minister, if you would, please.
Thank you. And I'll start off and then I'll pass to Kamala because she would definitely know a lot more about the particulars. But absolutely, co-production is of huge benefit to the Northwest Territories, where we're essentially opening our doors to invite others to come in. I think it does multiple things. It not only is a mentorship opportunity and an opportunity for Northern and NWT-made producers to learn from people from outside of the territory, it's also an opportunity for them to learn from the territory and for them to be able to then take what they learn and bring that south. I mean, and that's not just from a film perspective, but also a social perspective. And I think there's lessons to be learned about respect in film as well, and respect when it comes to how we work together and how we ensure that people telling stories are the people that own those stories. And in addition to that, I think that there's great value in people returning to wherever they came from and talking about the North and talking about their experience in film in the Northwest Territories, so that we can collectively continue to grow the industry. But Mr. Chair, I'd love to pass to our film commissioner.
Well, I'm on at the minute. The minister has a deadline, I believe, asking, so I'm going to say no, because MLA McNeely hasn't had a chance to ask a question yet, and he's on up next, and I'm going to hold the minister and staff, even though we're now crossing her deadline of leaving at 10 to the hour. So we'll get Mr. McNeely in, and I'll, instead of having questions, I'll provide a comment, and if I feel my questions are necessary, we'll provide them in the write-up response. But that's it. MLA McNeely, if you would help us with some, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for the meeting here. I was a little bit late there. I was on a recruitment chore, but looking back in the area of your investment, and I compliment your GDP comments as a good TPR, the taxpayers' return on public funds. So you must be doing something right. Anyways, what a wonderful way to advertise the unique experience that the Northwest Territories has to offer in the area of film and media. Just to give you an example, there's a whole audience out there, as we know, that is very huge internationally. At my meeting yesterday with SSI, they did a publication on the Mackenzie Valley Highway, and they received 171 views. And they mentioned 2 views came from Ireland and Norway. And what a surprise. The recognition of our territory is broader than we think. So this is a good program. I like it. I like the SEED program, having experienced it in the past. And we'll try to answer my colleague Julian's question on getting you some more money for that investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Or seeing a comment then. Yeah, or seeing a comment there. Okay, folks, I think we're at the end here, and given the the nature of our discussion, we could probably be here another hour or more, and there's no lack of enthusiasm around the table, so I would certainly say take that with some pride from both the department and the industry as well. I'm just going to make a couple quick comments and then I'll bring us to a close, respecting the minister's time, including the department. So I did have some questions, although I won't spend on it any time, around film location assessment and identifying. I did see that there was a contract went out, but I didn't look like it was awarded, so I'd be curious over the longer haul. This is not a question at this time we have to answer, but perhaps the minister can provide some comments through a written response eventually. So I was curious on how that's done, as well as how's that promoted specifically. So, you know, it's not like a yellow pages, I'm looking for some place to canoe. You go to the under C in the yellow pages and you start finding canoe and then you find etc. I would encourage the department to see what they could do to leverage CanNor funding about providing I know you're getting some money now, but I would certainly like to see that. As you heard, there was no shortage of interest asking for more money into this. I'm the biggest fan of the Bureau of Stats. I'm hoping by the end of my life as an MLA, I'll have a little picture of biggest champion there. But stats only tell you one thing, and I always like it as a narrative, and it sets the cornerstone of some of the discussion. So the this media industry, I'll call it media industry, represents, and again, keep in mind it's one piece of the information. It may represent 3.7% of the overall GDP, but what you have to take into consideration, how did you get there with such little investment? So in other words, you're getting an extraordinarily great return on what's being invested. So it's obviously an industry that has enormous potential. So I'm just saying that the number by itself doesn't say the whole story. You have to ask, how did we get there? So it's quite exciting to think you could get such great return on such little investment. Imagine what we could do with more. And I'd like to leave with, I'm hopeful that this is just the part of our story as we continue to build the opportunities, extend it to the regions. We have many stories to tell, so I'll leave it at that. So I have the privilege as chair to finish off, and at that point I'm going to say that if we have nothing further or urgent from members that must be articulated for the benefit of the public, I'd like to now close this discussion with a final thought and saying it's been excellent. Thank you very much. So I now call it close, and I wish everyone a great day. Thank you.